We don't avoid healing work because we don't want to get better. We avoid it because we're terrified of our own emotions. Society has conditioned us to treat our emotions as malfunctions, as a distraction, as something to stuff and control. And in that, it has disabled us from fully knowing really how we operate and what our emotions really mean about ourselves. But here's the truth. Your emotions are never bigger than you. They are never bigger than the love inside of you. So if you're ready to stop running, here is where we start. First and foremost, the opportunity to see the power in our emotions, to allow your emotions to be actually an indicator, a compass, a direction, revealing to you what's important to you. So when you start to shift and you reframe, literally reframe, reorientate yourself to your emotions as not something to control, as not something to run from, as not something that you should try to pretend you don't have when every single human being is walking around full of them. You use them as insight. You use them as data points. You let them inform you about you. Your emotions are data. They are the feedback mechanism running beneath the surface, letting you know what's going on inside. They flare up when your boundaries have been crossed. They tell you what you care about. And they also direct you to childhood triggers that have not been addressed. Within all of that is power. Because when you're operating from a place of acknowledging and treating and even revering your emotions as the blueprint mirroring to you what's happening inside, then you can step into an offensive way of leading yourself. There is so much power there. Even those that are really good at managing, controlling, keeping their emotions down are still filled with emotions. If you are somebody that actually emotes more or expresses more, you aren't more emotional. You are more externally emotional. When you step into a place of acknowledging the power of your emotions, that they are telling you more about you so that you can be more awake and wise in the effective leadership of yourself, everything shifts. The second thing I want to introduce and a way to get started in your own healing is to have a practice of self-study. Self-study with a level of intention, of having a clear intention, of learning more about yourself, of understanding more about who you are, what drives you, where you get stuck, where you get distracted. It's taking the position of acknowledging that you are this being operating in this 3D world, doing the best that you can, and being willing to observe that, being willing to get to know yourself in that way. And what's super important about that is to not let that be self-study to fix, to critique, to evaluate, because that will kill that self-study practice quicker than anything else. That's not the point. The point is about coming from a place of curiosity, of being able to learn how to witness yourself. One of the practices that I have talked about here on my channel, and I will likely always talk about, and I'm actually building a tool right now, is neutral observation. And it is essentially building the muscle, the skill, the practice of choosing to neutrally observe yourself. It starts with being able to Like the practice, how you begin the practice is having like a journal or something by your bedside. That's the tool I'm working on, something very specific. But having something, even a notepad by your bedside, where you can just acknowledge before you go to sleep at night, like, what did I notice about myself today? Because that reflection will reveal insights. And it's about just collecting that data without telling a story with it, without trying to justify it or turn it into something else, because we are powerful meaning makers. That's a whole other video. And that will help you start to learn how and have more at your own recall the ability to neutrally observe, to witness yourself. That is a key component of having a powerful practice of self-study. And the most important piece of that is the neutrality. Because if you turn it into something where you just going into judgment and evaluation, not only is it not a practice that will last very long, but it will do the opposite of what self-study is for. And self-study is intended to help you become more conscious and aware and informed and intelligent about yourself, not oppressed, not judged, not feeling like you have to defend yourself. It literally does the opposite. It helps create the opportunity, like I said, with the emotional power, where you're moving into a more offensive way of relating with yourself. So having a self-study practice is the most powerful thing that you can do to support yourself in your life. And neutral observation is the key way to do that. The last thing is recognizing that healing is your work here. You are here learning. Yes, you're living your life, all the components of your life. And if you zoom out, you will also likely recognize that you are here learning. You're here learning more about everything, but it's all happening through you. And what's happening in all that learning are offerings for healing, because so much of what we need to heal has started in our youth, started in our origin. And because of these conditionings around healing, around our feelings, around all these parts of ourselves, we are not walking around with a lot of skills that we're implementing on the daily. Healing has a bad rap for the same things I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And here's what you need to hear. Healing is your duty. Healing is your responsibility. Healing is how you care for yourself. And ultimately, it is your freedom. It's your liberation. Because all the ways that you feel stuck, or you judge yourself, or you feel like your life is not reflecting back to you what you want, or what you believe you want, or where you think you should be on every level, your relationships, your career, your creativity, your expression, every level, your health, your healing is in the midst of that. It is literally like, it's like the motherboard. Because to the degree that you learn ways to heal yourself is how you liberate all those parts of your life. We are living in a world where I would offer the majority of society, of humanity as we know it today, are not walking around with a power tool skill set on how to heal themselves. So there's a lot of us walking around not healed and living in reaction to that. And ultimately, the opportunity to honor your life, to honor your existence, to create the most beautiful, powerful life that you dream and desire comes through your healing. And I would be remiss if I didn't say again, like I did in the beginning, because we tend to fear our emotions because we happen to be born into and living in a society that doesn't teach it, hasn't really equipped us. That's what's key that I like to always say and remind, because this is not a defect in you or even your family or your partner. It's a societal challenge. And because that exists, it then creates this condition of fearing our emotions. But your emotions are never going to be bigger. Your pain is never going to be bigger than the love that you are. So, the most powerful way that you can begin the process is to recognize, first and foremost, that it is your work. Healing your part is how you liberate yourself, and it's also how you contribute to a better, more beautiful society. Because everyone and anyone that is engaging with a healed person is getting a better, healthier version of that person. Imagine. And I shine a light on that, not to create guilt or anything like that. It's just more on a practical level, thinking about that. That when you are healing and you are healed, you are showing up differently. Your vibration changes, and everything near you is impacted positively. If you're new to me, my name is Jennifer, and I am here every day to remind you that your truth is your power. So trust yourself and watch your life transform. I'll see you tomorrow.